Okay, so the idea is man finds a new way to charge his phone.
Right. All right. There's a man called Nathan, and he's been driving from Yorkshire, um driving back from Yorkshire to Manchester, because basically his parents live in Yorkshire, and it's been like that over, like, Christmas and stuff, like seeing them, and it started driving back on the Sunday evening, and he was driving back to Manchester where he lived with his wife and his little boy, and so it was like Sunday evening. It started driving back at like 7, and it was like 8 o'clock now, and it was because it was like December time, like, in early January. It was like already, like pitch black at like 6 o'clock. So it was like pitch black now at 8 o'clock, and it'd been driving for about an hour and a half. And after like an hour and a half of driving, he, well, two things he was thinking. First off, um, he had a phone charger, but obviously because he was in the car, he didn't have anywhere to like plug it in, and his phone was quite, low on charge. It like was on 3%, and another thing as well was he was quite tired. Not like sleepy tired, but like it, like his kind of wasn't like falling asleep or anything, but he was just kind of it's just kind of what like a bit worn out. And we could do with some caffeine. And as he was driving down this motorway, he noticed, like the sign for like, what do you call it? Is it like the service station? Them like service things where you stop and they have like like a little indoor thing with like a Costa and like
Yeah.
that I can't even think what they're called. Is it like a service
Yeah,
station?
like service station services, yeah.
Yeah, man. So he noticed, like a signpost on the motorway, and it was like, because there was a road going off the motorway, and on this signpost it had like service station. It had under it like Costa, like just all these different like things, like and he just thought, well, we might as well stop at this service station because he's still got like another, like, probably got another like 3 hour, 4 hour drive. Maybe less because the roads were a bit empty, but he just thought he might as well, in case he needs to use his phone, and he can also get like a coffee there. So he stops off at this service station, and like there's this indoor kind of place. It's like and then like outside there's like a McDonald's, and like there's a Starbucks facing the McDonald's, and then there's this kind of little indoor kind of market with like different shops in, and there's like a petrol station there. So stops off at the petrol station, and he just thinks I'll like refill, get some more petrol, um and he stops at one of the petrol tanks. On the only other vehicle that's at this petrol thing is like is like a lorry, and that's like parked up, and he just looks as he's getting out, and like that's just kind of like parked up at like not at the petrol tank, but it's kind of like parked at the side of like this little petrol station. So just kind of looks over. He can't see anyone there. Just kind of looks like it's been left there. He thinks maybe like the fella or whoever's like kind of just got out, parked it there, and gone into like like one of the like the McDonald's or like the service station. So he starts refilling his tank, and he thinks, so I'll refill the tank. I'll go into the sort of like indoor market thing, or like with the different shops, and see if I can find a place to charge the phone. If they've got like a little cafe and they have like a charger in there. So he could go into the cafe, he could get like a coffee, and he could like sit with his phone charging and like charge it in like a wall plug or something if they've got any. And then he'll if he feels like it, because he's still got a bit like to drive, so he thinks then after that he'll come out, he'll go into the Starbucks, or he'll probably go into the McDonald's because it's a bit cheap, and he'll get like a takeaway coffee, and then he'll just start driving. So he drives away from this petrol station, and he parks outside the like indoor market pass. He gets out. He has his phone in his pocket. He gets out. He goes around to the boot of his car. He opens the boot. He's got like a little bag with like stuff in, like that he's like took down to his parents. So he opens the bag, and like in one of the compartments in this, it's like a gym bag. In the compartments, there's like the phone charger there. So he takes the phone charger out, and he goes into this like indoor thing, and walks in. It's quite empty. There's a WH Smith's on the left side when he walks in, which is the shutters are down on that, and then on the right side there's like it looks like, it doesn't even know it looks a bit like a Costa, but he can't really tell because like the lights are all off and like the shutters are down. It doesn't have like the signpost either saying it's Costa, but it looks like it thinks it's probably like a Costa that's shut. And then there's some escalators that go up to like the second floor. And he thinks there might be like something open up there. So goes up these escalators. As he's going up the escalators, he notices, like there's a little like machine where like one of them machines where you put a pound in, you try and like lift one of the like teddy bears out. And yeah, he's just looking around and stuff. And he goes up, and when he gets off the escalators, there's a few shops open. There's like a little gift shop. There's a phone shop as well. Like it's not like a big shop or anything. It's got like like bits and accessories for phones and stuff. And there's a cafe. It isn't like in anywhere. The cafe's kind of just out in the open, and that's open. There's a few people, like if like an old couple sitting down there, and like few like other people, and there's some like staff working. So goes to this cafe, and goes up to the lady behind the like the barista behind the counter, and says, can I have like a coffee, just a like cappuccino, medium. And she's like, yeah, do you want it to sit in with or to take out? And he goes, I'll have it to sit in. And she goes, all right. And as she's like getting ready to make the coffee, because she's like took his money and stuff, he goes, is there anywhere like I can plug my phone charger in to charge my phone? And she goes, yeah, we've got a plug in like behind the counter. If you want to give me your phone and your charger, you could charge it up here. And he's like, yeah, all right then. So he gives her the phone and the charger, and she plugs it in and plugs the phone into the charger and puts it on the behind the counter. And she gets his like cappuccino. the cup and she puts it on like a saucer and like puts it on the counter, and then she has a look at his phone and she goes, your phone isn't charging up. And he has a look and he goes, oh, that's weird. And she goes, yeah, I mean it's switched, or it's like it's in like the power source and stuff, but it isn't like charging. And so he like lifts the phone up and he takes the USB thing out of the phone and he like turns it the other way and puts it in and it's still not charging. And he goes, it might be. I wondered if it's the charger because the phone, there's nothing wrong with the phone. And she goes, oh, I don't know. She kind of she looks a bit awkward and she's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. And he goes, I'll go to that phone stall and I'll see if I can get another charger for it. And if I can get another charger, can I still charge the phone? She goes, yeah, that's fine. So he takes the coffee, the cappuccino, and he sits down when he puts it on the table, and he thinks, you know what, I'll leave the cappuccino here, and I'll go to this phone shop thing, and I'll see if I can get like a phone charger. So he walks away from the cafe over to this phone shop, and he's like a little litter bin, and he just throws this charger in the bin. And they're only cheap as well, the chargers for this phone. It's not like an Apple phone or anything, you can just get like, it's quite like a universal charging thing that this, like a lot of like different charging cables work with the phone. So he goes into the phone shop and he goes like, if you got a charger for this, and they have a look and they go, yeah, it's like $9.99. So he gets it and stuff, and walks back out of the phone shop back over to the cafe. And as he's walking over, he can see the girl behind the counter. She's kind of making a drink, so she's not kind of looking, like she's like got her back face to all like the seating area. And the old couple he's seen when he first went there, the old fella's standing over his table, like putting something in his drink. And so he kind of rushes over a bit, and like the old fella sees him and he goes to the old fella, like, what are you doing? And the old fella goes, I was just putting some sugar in there. And he goes, I didn't need sugar, mate. You didn't have to do that. And the old fella goes, oh, I was only trying to help. And the old fella goes back to his seat. And the fella thinks, well, I'm not drinking that. And so the fella just walks to the counter, and like the woman behind the counter has just finished making this other drink, and she looks at him and he goes, "Here, I've got this phone charger." He's just finished opening it, taking the package off, and he gives her the charger, gives her his phone, and then he goes back to the litter bin and throws the packaging in there. And then when he comes back, she's standing there holding his phone with the charger in. It's plugged into the wall, and she goes, I'm sorry, it's not charging. And so he takes the phone and he takes the USB charger out, puts it the other way, puts it in, still not charging. He's just like he just gives a sigh. And she goes, I'm sorry, and it's like on 1% or so now, it's about to die any minute. And she sits down at the table and he doesn't want to drink the cappuccino because that old fellow was just over at the table. And he's just sitting there and just thinking, you know what, fuck it, I'll just have to, I doubt anyone's going, like, I'm going to need to use my phone at this time anyway. So he's just sitting there and he just thinks, oh, it's a shame, he was looking forward to that cappuccino, and that old fella's ruined it. So he looks over and the old fella's looking at him as the old woman's just talking to this old fella, and this old fella's just looking at him, grinning. And sorry, I was just having a drink of my coffee then. he just thinks, oh, fuck it, I'll just go and get a coffee from the McDonald's and then just get back on the motorway and just get home. And picks up the phone charger. He's got his phone in his pocket, and as he's standing up, he looks over, and the woman's trying to charge her phone with her charger, and she kind of looks over at him, and he thinks, "What is her charger not working as well?" And she goes, "It must be something on our end." And he goes, "Well, I've just threw a charger away, and I've just spent £10 on another charger, and it was, there was no point in doing that." And she goes, "Well, you don't need to be rude about it, sir." And he just thinks, "I'm not getting into an argument." So he just walks, he goes down the escalators. He's not throwing this charger away this time because he knows there's nothing wrong with the charger. Goes out this like indoor marketplace, goes into the McDonald's, orders like a takeaway coffee, and as he's giving the fella behind the counter the money, he goes, "Have you got anywhere I can just charge this phone up for a bit?" And the fella goes, "We've only got some plugs at the behind the counter and stuff, and they're all being used." And and he just goes, "Oh, doesn't matter then." And Nathan at this point is just like, he's just thinking to himself, like, he's just can't believe he just threw away a charger that there was nothing wrong with and then just spent £10 on another charger. So gets the coffee, he leaves the McDonald's, and he's getting back in his car. And he's kind of bugged out that he's just spent money on another charger. So he looks over at the petrol station, and he just thinks, well, I don't even know what the point in this is, because it's not like he's anywhere to sit in the petrol station. I'd just have to come out and sit in my car. And he just thinks, you know what, fuck it, I just want to get some charge on my phone. So he goes into this petrol station, walks past the like petrol tanks. As he's walking into the petrol station, he looks and he notices that lorry is still there, and goes into the petrol station, goes up to the counter. And the fella, like, there's that protective glass, like, that the fella's behind, and where you like go to like pay for like the petrol and stuff, and the fella's asleep, so he kind of Nathan knocks on the glass a little. Fella wakes up, and Nathan goes, have you got like a plug I can charge the phone with? And the fella just kind of shakes his head and goes back to sleep. So Nathan walks out the petrol station, and he's going back to the car. And the thing with like Nathan is he's quite like, obsessive. Like he's a bit like, it's bugged him a bit that he's got this new charger and he can't use it. And he looks over at the lorry. And one thing he didn't notice with the lorry when he looked over the first time, because he was further away from it the first time, and even like the second time he looked over at it, because he's just come out the petrol station, he's closer to the lorry. He looks over, and like the door of the driver's seat's open a little bit, so he just thinks, I wonder if there's anywhere in that lorry where I can charge the phone. And he goes over, and it's quite big, like there's a few steps, like where you'd open the door, then like you'd have to step up the 2 steps and climb into the lorry. And he's just looking around, and like there's no one around. And he's got the charging in one hand, his phone's in his pocket. He looks through the window at the petrol station. The fella's not looking at him. The fella's gone back asleep, and he just thinks, you know what, fuck it. And he opens the door, like, gently pulls the door on the lorry forward. Carries on looking around. There's no one around. No one's seeing him. And he climbs up into the lorry, and he's just having a look, and he's just thinking, like, is there any, like, he doesn't even know, like, if there would be any kind of like anywhere you'd charge the phone in a lorry. He's just thinking, because lorry drivers have to like make these long kind of journeys and stuff. They're always on the road. I wondered if there's something in there. And as he's up there, he kind of sees something under the passenger seat, and he's thinking, I wonder if there's something there where I can plug the charger in. He hears a rattle in the back of the lorry, like a rattling sound, like something's moving around in the lorry, and he just thinks that's weird, and he kind of looks behind him to see if anyone's seen him there, and like he's wonder what that sound was, and he just thinks, you know what, I'm just going like just go and see what's under this passenger seat, and as he puts his hand under the passenger seat, he's like leaning further into the lorry. He feels something under the passenger seat, and it feels like it's one of them, you know, like a long thing, you know what you kind of use to plug multiple plugs in, you know, one of them like power sockets. It feels like there's something like that under the passenger seat, and as he's feeling it, he feels a bottle smash over the back of his head, and it just feels like everything fades to black. He feels like this smash over the back of his head, and he feels everything just fade to black. And when he wakes up, he can like, you know, like he's in the back of the lorry, and he can like the lorry is like moving, and like it's pitch black in there, and he opens his eyes, and like he can feel blood dripping down like his face. And he looks around, and even though it's dark in there, he can make like the shapes out of like things that are in the lorry. And facing him on the left side, there's a dog. Directly facing him next to the dog, these he can make out, because it like he like the old fella in that cafe had like it had like a as kind of like he was like a big fella, you know, like he kind of, I don't know, he had like a long face and stuff, and like it's the old couple's directly facing him. And then on the right, there's a teenager, and then on his right, so not facing him, but on his right, these two young, like 20 something girls, and then there's no one on his left. And these like chains going across them all, you know, like that at all, like they're all kind of chained up in this lorry. And there's a little like light that comes on, like someone like someone's turned a light on from, he doesn't know where they've turned the light on from, but the back of the lorry lights up, and like the dog sitting there whimpering. The old couple, the fella's like passed out. It looks like he's, doesn't even look like he's asleep. It looks like you know, he's been knocked out. And the old woman's sitting next to him, like trying to wake him up, crying. The teenager sitting next to the old couple's crying. And then the two girls on his side are just like sitting there, like they look, you know, like they've got like makeup like smudged across the face, and like they're in like you know, like they look like they've been on a night out or something, and like they look like they've been crying because like all the mascara is like coming off like the face and stuff. And Nathan like puts his head at the back of his hand at the back of his head, and like he looks at his hand, and there's all blood on his hand. So this lorry stops somewhere, and like the door opens, and there's these four fellas in like hoods, and they go like, yeah, come on, get that dog out first. And one of the fellas climbs in and goes to get the dog, and the other fella goes, I didn't mean that dog. And he points at the old woman, and the old woman starts crying. So this fella goes over to this old woman, unlocks like the chains, drags it away from her husband because she doesn't want to leave her husband, who's like unconscious. They throw it on the floor, and like it's like this grass outside, you know, like the parks or some grass. And this fella who was speaking in the other three fellas aren't speaking. This fella goes, yeah, we'll take two in at a time. Get that fella. And they point at Nathan. And one of the other fellas climbs in and unlocks Nathan and lifts him up. And this fella goes, "Summer, are you feeling a bit dizzy with that blow to your head, and like Nathan just like kind of nods. And what Nathan didn't realize, and what the other fellas didn't realize until they actually get him out the lorry onto this grass, is that he's still got hold of this phone charger. And they get him out of the grass, and the fella who was speaking, telling them to get like people out of the lorry, he goes to Nathan, what's that? And Nathan's like, it's obviously done something to his head, this bottle, like being smashed over his head. He kind of goes, like, if you got any sockets I can charge his phone in. And this fella goes, come here, you. And he fucking grabs him by the ear and starts dragging him, like, and he drops the phone charger on the floor, and he drags him over to what looks like, this farm. It's like there's a farmhouse, like a farmhouse, and then there's like a shed on the right of the farmhouse. And this fella who was speaking drags Nathan by the ear over to this shed, and Nathan's looking behind him, and the other fellas are taking this old woman who's crying. They're like dragging her by her arms to the house, and the fella opens the shed, and there's like a few like horse stables in there with some horses in there, and they just throw him in there, and Nathan, and then they shut the shed, and Nathan's just lying in this shed, on all this hay and stuff, and like you can see like the blood from his head, is all over this hay, and like this is just these like horses standing around looking at him. But an hour later, the shed opens, and like he's kind of drifted to sleep, like the odd 15 minutes he's fell asleep. It's not even like a sleep; he's gone into like a deep sleep, like an unconsciousness. Like 15 minutes, and then he wakes back up. So it's like definitely something's gone on with his head. And the shed doors open, the barn, whatever you want to call it, and the four fellas are standing there, and the fella goes, were you saying you needed somewhere to charge your phone? And Nathan goes, yeah, if you don't mind. And they go, yeah, we've got somewhere here for you to charge your phone. Have you got your phone on you? And he goes, yeah, it's in my pocket. And they go, is there any charge in that? And he goes, no. And he says, well, they say, well, it doesn't matter anyway, because there's no signal around here. So if it's not like you can ring anyone. Like, we've made sure of that. And Nathan goes, have you got anywhere I can charge it? And they go, yeah, we'll come in, we'll take it into the house. And they lift them up off the floor, and they take him over to the house, out the shed, over to this like farmhouse. And the fella who's speaking, the one fella in the hood who's speaking's got all of his phone charger, and says, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you dropped it when I gently dragged you by your ear. I didn't realize you dropped it. And Nathan's going, it's all right. So they take him in this house, and all the lights are off downstairs, and you can see up the stairs. There's a light on upstairs, and they go, yeah, we'll take it upstairs. We've got like some electricity up here. There's somewhere you can plug that charging into, and they take him upstairs, and they take him into one of the bedrooms, and the old fella is lying on the bed, chained up, not moving. And the three things. I don't even know what to call it. This sounds really untechnical. When you get like a plug, and you want to plug it into like the socket, and there's like the three things it goes through. Like, is there a name for that, or I can't even think?
Like the holes.
Yeah. That just like them three holes, in that like shape, in the shape of like the plug.
Yeah. I don't know what they're called, but yeah.
Well, them three holes are in the back of this fella's head, and this fella goes, "Hey, do you want to plug it in there and see if it charges up?" And Nathan goes, "What's going on?" And he can hear in the wardrobe in this room, he can hear that old woman screaming and crying. And they go, "So just plug it in that fella's head and see what happens." And so Nathan gets the gets the USB on the charger, plugs it into his phone, and as he's about to put the charging into the three holes in this old fella's head, you can hear the old woman going, don't, and the fella goes, no, go on, that'll charge it up. And he plugs it in, and he hears the old fella scream, like really fucking scream, when he puts this plug in his head through these holes. And then the fella goes, the fella in the hood who's talking says, is it charging it up? And he goes, no. Nathan goes, no. And at this point, the fella's just like, the old fella's dead. And this fella in the hood goes, oh, well, that's a shame, isn't it? And this fella smacks Nathan across the face. But he doesn't mean to do this. He just wants to smack him because Nathan's all like dizzy and stuff. He kind of falls back, and he falls through the window in this room and just goes flying through this window, lands on his back, and he's looking up, and he can see the fellas looking out, and one of the fellas in the hood goes, go and get him. So Nathan just gets up, because he's landed on the grass, he's not like himself or that. He gets up, runs as fast as he can to this lorry, gets in the lorry, the keys are in there, starts the lorry, backs away. You can see these fellas running towards him, reverses this lorry, starts driving down this this path, surrounded by all this grass. You can see like the motorway. You can see in the mirror these fellas are running like down the road after them. Drives onto the motorway. He doesn't even know which way to go because he doesn't know where he is, so he just takes a right. Goes driving down this motorway as fast as he can. He sees a service station. He stops off at this service station. It's the same one that he'd been at previously. And he nearly, by the way, he nearly slams into one of the petrol tanks as he's stopping at this service station. But he doesn't, and he gets out, runs into the indoor market, goes up the escalators. The woman behind the counter is the same woman previously who tried to charge his phone for them. He runs in at this point, there's blood going all down his face, and he goes, have you got like a phone charge? And the woman goes, what? And he goes, I've lost my phone charger, if you got one. And the woman goes, are you all right, sir? And he starts getting really dizzy now, and he tries to give the woman his phone, and he just fucking collapses on the floor. And he wakes up in hospital, and his parents are standing over him, his parents from Yorkshire. And his wife and his son are standing over him. And they go, like, you've had to have like freaking over 10 stitches in your head. What happened to you? And he's just going, is there anywhere to like charge my phone? And the doctor comes in, and the doctor and the doctor says, you've had like a significant amount of damage. We're going to have to probably do an operation on you at some point. And he goes to the doctor, listen, doctor, is there anywhere I can charge my phone? The doctor goes, your phone's on charge, don't worry about that. And the wife takes hold of Nathan's hand and goes, you go and be all right. And his parents smile. And a bit later on, the wife and the parents have had to go back home to Yorkshire, and they're kind of in a hospital that's like in between Yorkshire and Manchester. It's kind of like off one of the motorways, so they're kind of in between everywhere. Like, I don't know, it's just like the whole thing just feels very in between. I don't know, just the whole like mood and everything like that. They don't feel completely at one place or another. And his wife comes in, and his wife goes to him, it's finished. And Nathan goes, what's finished? And she goes, us. And Nathan goes, why? And she shows him his phone, and there's all images on his phone, you know, of like photos of like a strip club and like videos of him like filming like a stripper. And she goes, I thought you were going up to your parents for Christmas. And he goes, no, I wasn't. She said, well, why did you go there? And he goes, oh, I just stopped off there. And she goes, yeah, it's finished. She throws his phone on his lap, and she goes, we're going back to Manchester now, so we'll see you when you get out the hospital. And he goes, oh, all right then, fuck off. And she goes, what? And he goes, fuck off. And he goes, all right then. So she walks out and she slams the door on his room. And he looks at his phone, he just scrolls through these images, and he's just thinking like, I'll have to go back to that strip club when I get out this hospital. And the doctor comes in about an hour later, and the doctor goes, to him, we can let you go tonight, let the stitches heal, and then we'll follow up with you. You can actually we'll make an appointment for you at your hospital in Manchester to see a neurologist, and they can discuss what like further treatment they want to like pursue with you. And Nathan goes, so you're saying I can go now? And the doctor goes, yeah, if you got someone to pick it up. And Nathan goes, I'll just get a taxi. And the doctor goes, no, it'd be better if you get someone to pick it up. And Nathan goes, all right then, well, my phone's charged now, so I'll ring someone at the exit. And the doctor goes, will you? And he goes, yeah. So the doctor, not the doctor, Nathan gets up. He's in his like hospital gown, and he forgets to like get his clothes are on the side, but his clothes are filled with blood anyway. So he just thinks, you know what, fuck it. And he goes out the hospital, kind of sneaks out so no one sees him leaving in the hospital gown. He gets outside the hospital, he's looking around, and he's just thinking like, where was this strip club again? He can't remember whether it was in, how far away it was from his parents and how close it was. Well, he doesn't even know where the hospital is that he's in. So he calls a taxi. He's freezing his tits off outside, but like he just stands outside and calls a taxi. And the taxi stops at the hospital. Gets in the taxi, gets in the front, because it's one of them taxis, you know, where you can sit in the front. It's like an Uber taxi or something. And the taxi driver goes, you're all right, sir? Are you meant to be leaving this hospital? You know, because he's still in the hospital gown. And Nathan goes to this taxi driver, if I show you these videos, would you know where this place is? And he starts showing this taxi driver these videos of this lap dance he was getting. And the taxi driver goes, have you not got like a postcode? And Nathan goes, I've only got these videos. And the taxi driver's just thinking. And the taxi driver says, hey, let me get Google up. So he gets Google. The taxi driver takes his phone out and gets Google up. And he Googles strip clubs. And like he says, well, the nearest one is about like 2 miles from here. And Nathan goes, that sounds about right. Can we just go to that one? And the fella goes, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Would it be open? That's what the taxi driver says. And Nathan says, well, it might be. And if not, I'll just arrange something else when we get there. So they drive there. Taxi driver's asking him like, what happens with your head? And Nathan says, do you know what? It's like, I think like I fell on a bottle or something. I can't remember. And taxi driver says, oh, you've had like a heavy night then. And he says, Nathan goes, yeah, I've just split up with me missus. They live in Manchester. And taxi driver says, what? Oh, sorry to hear that, mate. Any reason in particular? And he just said, well, she saw these videos on my phone. And the taxi driver goes to the strip club, and he says, yeah. And the taxi, it's just a bit of an awkward drive from then, because you don't really have anything to say to each other. I mean, you know, when you try and start a conversation with like a taxi driver, you know, it's very down. The conversation took a very downbeat turn, you know, like early on in their conversation in this taxi. Get to the strip club shut. And the taxi driver says, "You need a lift to anywhere else?" And Nathan goes, "No, I'll just get out here." And taxi driver says, "Mate, I'm not trying to be like funny with you, you know, but like, where do you go and go?" And Nathan just says, "Well, just don't be funny with me then." And he just gets out the car, walks over to the strip club. The taxi driver drives away, goes to the door, tries to open it, it's locked, and like all the lights are off in there. He goes around the back. There's a window around the back, and he just fucking punches through this window, like cuts all his knuckles, and he doesn't like cut his wrist, but like, you know, like his forearm, so he hasn't like cut his wrist bad, but just there's blood on his forearm. Manages to kick all this glass through on this window, climbs through. It's completely empty in there. Goes over to the bar bit, opens one of the fridges and just takes a load of bottles of beer out. And just drinking his beer, and he's just sitting like on this, you know, where they have the poles, where they do the pole dance. He's just sitting next to this pole. He can't be bothered sitting on one of the seats, and he's just like drinking. It's Heineken, like bottles of Heineken. And he's just thinking to himself, like, he's just looking at this bottle of Heineken, and he just thinks it's funny how I presumed it was a beer bottle that they smashed me over the head with, or like a bottle for that matter. Like it could have been like a pint glass or something. And he's just thinking, like, I wonder how I kind of knew that it was a bottle that they smashed me over the head with, not a beer glass. So he takes the bottle and he just fucking smashes himself over the head with the Heineken bottle to see if it feels like the same as the other one did, you know, if it felt like a bottle. Smashes himself over the head. He wakes up and he's in a barn, and it's all like horse stables around him. The barn doors open, and the four fellas in the order there, and one of the fellas goes, "Oh, we see you like that strip club, don't you? My brother owns that. Like, it's funny how you went there. You'd have a hospital going on, so did you make a stop at the A&E on the way?" And they lift him up, Nathan. They take him back in the house and take him up the stairs. The old fella's dead, just been lying there now. Like it's probably been a full night because it's dark again. Whereas when he went that strip club, it was early in the morning, so it's pitch black again. It's probably been like 24 hours. And like the room just stinks, you know, like these flies all around this fella's dead body. You can hear like the old woman crying in the wardrobe. And the window's still smashed, you know, the window he fell out. And the fellas go, "Do you want to try and charge your phone again?" He goes, "I've not got a phone charger." And they go, "We've got some out there." And one of the fellas in the hut goes into another room, comes back with a phone charger, and Nathan goes, "I've not got my phone." And this fella in the hut goes, "Are you trying to be funny?" And Nathan just goes fucking running to this window, just fucking dives out this window, lands on the grass, goes running as fast as he can. The lorry isn't there this time, so he's just running down the road. He can feel all the blood going at the back of his head. He has a quick look around. He's been running for like a few minutes. He has a quick look around, and the four fellas in the hoods are all on horses now, chasing him. Like, you know, they've gone into the barn and come out, and they're all like coming after him on the horses. And he says they're going to catch up with me any minute. He says that. He doesn't even think it. He just says it. He doesn't know why he says it. And he just thinks, wouldn't it be funny if they bottle me over the head again? And he just feels like the horse fucking kick him in the back of the head. The end.